The Owl House is one of Disney's most beloved animated shows to have come out in recent years, with a diverse cast, creative storyline, and amazing characters. That said, not every character can be a winner, and if we saw some of these characters affected by the draining spell or turned into puppets, we wouldn't mind it all too much. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and these are the worst Owl House characters and why they suck. Starting with the least worst, we have the actual Owl House himself, Hooty. While Hooty does care deeply about Luce, Ida, King, and the majority of the main cast of characters, it should be noted that this bird/worm demon has a knack of getting on the nerves of pretty much anyone Hooty encounters. And it's really no surprise why. With his high-pitched, somewhat screechy voice, Hooty's voice is pretty grating on our eardrums.
I'm on the floor! It's cold!
And even though Hooty does use his body to protect others, the fact that his body is an unknown length and that he can detach himself at will is, to be honest, pretty disturbing. But really, the reason Hooty's on this list is because he shares a quality with similar annoying characters, and that is not realizing that it is being a nuisance and continues to pester and annoy others without really growing from it. Hooty does have a pretty solid relationship with the main cast of the show, and he does serve as a pretty important character in some episodes, such as helping Ida, King, and Luce out in the episode Knock Knock Knocking on Hooty's Door, when he helps all three in overcoming their fears and work through some situations. But despite the fact Hooty does help out on occasion, given both how annoying and kinda creepy that Hooty can be, we're giving the Guardian of the Owl House the first spot in this ranking. While Hooty is annoying, he is a pretty friendly and helpful character. However, Boscha is not only annoying to some of the other characters, but she also has to be the queen bee at Hex side of magic and demonics. Right from the word go, Boscha makes it clear that she is the resident mean girl of the school, often using her own social standing in order to push others down and to make them feel bad, most notably Willow. When it comes to her actual friends though, to say that Boscha actually considers them friends is questionable, as it seems like she used her friendship with Amity as a status statement more than anything else, especially once Amity ditches her previous stuck-up attitude. Boscha does not stick by her side or realize how her behavior towards others was the problem, but seems to really double down. How much value Boscha places on her status is really apparent in the episode For the Future, when she becomes a new leader of Hexside after the Collector turns a majority of the Boiling Isles population into puppets. Sure, Kikimora does manipulate her a bit, and it is true that after reuniting with Amity, and she's able to talk sense into her, Boscha does finally seem to become a better person. But since she belittles and antagonizes the other characters, and really doesn't grow as a person until the last few episodes, are reasons enough to place her here. But as she is a kid and does have the chance to grow even further as a person after having a change of heart, she does have some positives. From Boscha wanting to be Queen Bee of Hexside, we arrive at an actual Coven head for our next spot, Terra Snapdragon. At first glance, Terra might have the appearance of a sweet grandmother who loves working in the garden a bit too much, but to say she has a thorny personality is a bit of an understatement. Terra might be the head of the Plant Coven, but instead of using her position, she willingly uses her considerable powers to trick and manipulate others in her own plans, like giving drugged tea to Rain in order to brainwash them. And while some of the other Coven heads use their positions to serve as double agents, like Darius or Rain in order to prevent Emperor Belos from carrying out his plans, Terra is extremely loyal to Belos.
The Emperor says he's looking forward to meeting you, human.
It is true that once Terra becomes fully aware of the extent of Emperor Belos' plans, she does seem to regret her part in it, though that is really only due to her powers being drained as well once the draining spell begins. Plus, while Terra is initially spared being turned into a puppet once she gets on the wrong side of the Collector and For the Future, her mouth causes her to be transformed. So yeah, manipulating others, blindly following an obviously evil ruler, and not caring about the harm that will be caused as a result, and mouthing off to an individual who is essentially a god of the demon realm. To say that Terra is one of the worst Coven heads in the series is an understatement, and while Boscha is a kid, Terra has no such excuse, which lands her in this ranking. Even though abusing one's power as Coven head is pretty bad, Kikimora is basically Emperor Belos' right hand, well, until he betrays her. While a majority of the characters are kept in the dark of what Belos is really planning, Kikimora is very much aware of what is happening and gladly helps. Kikimora really doesn't do this because of her dislike of her fellow demons and witches, but rather because she thinks she will be spared and be given a great deal of power. In addition to helping Emperor Belos, Milos. She constantly butts heads with those she encounters, sometimes to a near deadly degree like with Hunter and Luz. Even when Luz tries to help Kikimora fix her with her relationship mother, as soon as Kikimora realizes that she is supposedly getting a promotion, she disowns her family, stating that they can burn. True, after Kikimora is betrayed, she does work with King in meeting the Collector to stop the draining spell. Once Luz and the others are able to return to the demon realm after using the passageway from the human realm, they discover that even though Kikimora played a minor role in preventing the draining spell, she hasn't really changed. Alongside Boscha, Kikimora is still determined to have a position of power, as she takes a role as a leader of Hexside. Thankfully, Gus, Willow, and Hunter, along with the other students of Hexside, are able to stop her before Kikimora gains more power. But for the damage she does, both working for Belos and being okay with a possible genocide just to get what she wants, and for her actions after the Collector alters the Boiling Isles, she lands here. From someone who is obsessed with power, we have a character who is obsessed with money next, Tibbles. Some would call Tibbles a capitalist pig in every sense of the word. Despite only having a small number of appearances, Tibbles abuses and manipulates others just to turn a profit. In the episode Hooty's Moving Castle, Tibbles not only jacks up the price of the potion that Ida needs, but after beating her at Hex's Hold'em, Tibbles reveals that he intends on turning Ida over to Emperor Belos and forcing King to be his servant. Thankfully, Luz and her friends are able to foil Tibbles' plan by destroying his stand, which allows Ida and King to escape. In his second appearance, in the episode Really Small Problems, he presents a much bigger threat. He's still wanting to earn money at the expense of others, but his ultimate plan is to shrink Luz, Willow, Gus, and King in order to be eaten by magical beasts at his carnival. And even though his plan almost works, King is able to trick Tibbles into restoring them to their normal size. He may not have as big or as evil plans as some of the characters discussed so far, but as his first priority is to make a profit and doesn't care about the well-being of anyone else, he had to rank here. Not only is our next entrant pretty obsessed with money and her social standing, but also controls others with an iron fist. Odalia Blight is far from winning any Mother of the Year awards. Cold, domineering, and power-hungry, Odalia will do anything, and we do mean anything, if it means keeping her elitist lifestyle. When it comes to her own family, Odalia tries to repress their independence, or if there's anything that Odalia perceives as going against the grain, such as Amity's childhood friendship with Willow or Amity becoming the girlfriend of Luz, she will try to put a stop to it. When it comes to Odalia's marriage with Alador, right from the beginning, it seems like it's more of a business partnership than a commitment from love. Granted, in the episode Them's the Breaks Kid, from what little of Odalia we see when she and Alador were younger, they seem like they genuinely are in love. And while it is an unfortunate fact that people can change, and not all relationships last, seeing the kind of woman Odalia became in later life is like night and day when she was younger. Outside of her interactions with her family, and trying to keep them all under her thumb, Odalia shares some qualities with Kikimora. She was knowledgeable to an extent of what Belos was planning, and not really caring about what damage would be caused, so long as it meant a higher social standing and more power. After the draining spell is stopped, Odalia still seems to want to cling onto a position of power, as she is kind of a housekeeper slash caretaker for the Collector after they take over the Boiling Isles. Knowing that Alador, Amity, and the rest of Odalia's family is about to eventually cut her out of their lives, and not only become happier but closer as a result, is one of the sweetest feelings of the series, and it would have been nice to think Odalia would reform, but we aren't holding our breaths for this abusive Karen. And finally, we're leaving the demon realm for our final entrant. Yes, we feel like the worst Owl House character is also from our dimension, none other than Jacob Hopkins. We understand that many probably expected Emperor Belos to be at the top of this list, and trust us, we understand why you think that. Is Philip pretty awful even before he becomes Emperor Belos? Is his racism, narcissism, and lust to be viewed as a hero after he returns to the human realm a really dangerous mindset to have? Absolutely. However, as despicable as he is a very captivating villain, with a very deep storyline. Jacob, on the other hand, is none of these things. To tell it like it is, Jacob is an idiot. He first seems to be a helpful guy when V sees him while disguised as Luz, but after discovering her true identity, we learn Jacob's true nature.
I finally caught a living, breathing demon!
That being a conspiracy theorist. But while some conspiracy theorists have a leg to stand on and bring up some pretty good points, Jacob simply seems to have based his knowledge on a Wikipedia article, like demons and witches coming from Mars, in order to collect our teeth. And what is Jacob's goal after capturing V? To dissect her and record it in order to get his YouTube channel back before alerting the government. Knowing that Jacob gets the crap smacked out of him by Camilla is a great feeling, but yeah, we have to say that Jacob deserves the gold medal for worst Owl House character.